Episode 26, interview with Dan Gailey from Synapse.ai.
Interested in Bitcoin?
Bitcoin is a very vague concept to a lot of people.
Need to know more about cryptocurrency?
We're going to talk about the basics. You know, this is something that people just have no idea about what crypto is.
How about buying, selling, and mining?
Tony, I think that's one of the things that's going to make us a little different from some other shows.
We're getting our hands dirty.
Then listen to Gary Leland and Tony Sakala, better known as the Crypto Cousins, on the Crypto Cousins podcast. This week's price.
This week's price of Bitcoin, $9,927. That's down $152 since last week, or 1.6%. Howdy, howdy, howdy. Gary Leland here. Welcome to another episode of the Crypto Cousins.
And this is Tony Sakala. Welcome, folks.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. We're moving along, Tony. This is episode 26, I believe.
Wow.
Wow is right.
This is a great episode. This is a really great episode.
This is a great episode. I'm excited about this episode, and I think you're really going to enjoy this episode. But before we get into that, I do want to cover a couple of things. I want to make sure you check out our Facebook group. Go to Facebook, just search Crypto Cousins. We're the only ones that come up, I think, Tony.
Nice.
And also, I want to make sure if you're listening to this on whatever you're listening to this, make sure you subscribe. Let's go to cryptocousins.com/subscribe, and you'll see all the ways you can subscribe, which if there is something you can subscribe on, Tony, we're there.
We've got it. We're everywhere.
And then you're going to probably hear some things in the show you may have questions or comments about. Please give us a call at 747-777-9471. You can call about this episode or with any question you have. We love getting questions. I do want to let you know Tony and I are not financial advisors. We're just two guys that like crypto. I always like to get that out of the way. If I don't get that out of the way, I miss it a lot of the time.
We
guess that's our
love
disclaimer,
crypto.
Tony.
That's our thing.
I do also want to let you know before we get into this show, this is a Crypto Cousins Center Stage episode. So in full disclosure, we're letting you know we have been compensated for this episode. So we like to be real open with all the cousins out there because you guys are like family. But I do have to say, even though we were compensated, this was a great episode, a very interesting episode.
It was probably one of the more interesting episodes we've really had because this is a company that's not only in crypto, but they're in AI. I mean, when you put crypto and AI together, I mean, it's better than peanut butter and chocolate, actually.
Well, I like Reese's cups, so.
But you don't get paid to eat a Reese's.
And speaking of getting paid, you want to listen to this episode because we're talking with Dan Gailey, the CEO from Synapse.ai. And during the episode, he lets out the information where you can get an airdrop for free Synapse tokens.
Yeah, that was a surprise. We didn't see that coming. And it's special for Crypto Cousins. It's not just a generic airdrop. It's a Crypto Cousins airdrop.
So how many shows do you get to listen to, Tony, where you actually get paid?
Not too many at all.
Yeah, he's talking about during the show getting paid for helping to train artificial intelligence. But he's also paying you to listen to this show.
Yeah, I like
this
Dan.
airdrop. It was pretty nice of Dan to give all our listeners an airdrop. So make sure you listen because I'm not gonna tell you what the scoop is. You're gonna have to listen and get the airdrop. So this should be a very exciting episode. I was excited to hear that. But you want to tell him a little brief anything about Dan before we go to the show?
Well, you know, Dan's got an educational background in electrical engineering with a focus on autonomous robotics. So I think that's a very unique degree that we haven't seen before. Most folks that we talk to are coming from a finance background, and Dan's got this unique background that has brought his AI interests together with crypto for a unique application, a unique layer. He founded Synapse, which is the first decentralized AI and blockchain network with the prospect of building global autonomous logistics and supply chain. And he had previously founded 3 other autonomous agent and multi-agent system-related companies. So this is not Dan's first rodeo.
Yeah, and also, I mean, he knows what he's talking about, but I want to make sure everybody knows he has a weekly podcast called Hack Days, where nerds get together and talk about the past, present, and future. So he's a fellow podcaster to boot, Tony.
Yes. No wonder he was so comfortable on the show.
No wonder he was. You are correct. So I guess we're going to go to the interview now. I think you're going to enjoy this interview. And like I said, have your pen and paper ready to get the address for the airdrop. Okay, and now we're joined by Dan Gailey of Synapse AI. Dan, thanks for joining me and Tony on the Crypto Cousins. This is pretty exciting stuff we got going on here.
Thanks for having me.
Hey, tell us a little bit about your background, Dan.
So I've been programming pretty much, I want to say since I was born, but, since I was about 10 years old, and grew up in the hacking and phreaking scene. And phreaking is phone hacking, basically. Went to work in research and development in the telecom industry, did network security in the oil and gas industry, and my education is actually in electrical engineering with a focus in autonomous robotics and computational chemistry. I am what some might call a super nerd. I started my high school my high school computer club, and I was president of the robotics team in college. So that's how I got to where I'm at now. And since I've been out in San Francisco, I've worked at startups, worked in venture capital, specifically investigating cryptocurrency and cryptocurrency startups in like 2013. Introduced to Bitcoin in 2011. Fast forward, trying to marry all of the crypto decentralization and pretty much everything into AI, right? Like, how does all of this facilitate building what's coming next?
So you've definitely been around the block there. You know what you're talking about on most of this information here, and definitely much more so than I do. What I want to know is, though, your background's more than positive. You're right in the right direction. What is Synapse? I mean, I know Synapse you're building, the first decentralized AI marketplace.
Yeah, it's an AI marketplace. It's an AI network that has a marketplace inside of it. And what this means is we basically take all of the good stuff, right? The democratization of services, decentralization, starting to think about distributed compute, all of these things that this new kind of paradigm that's here, the Ethereum, Bitcoin, what blockchain unlocks and enables. And we're saying, well, technically, you can contract any resource at any time, right? And one of the subsets of that big idea is getting access to data, right? Because data is, we've heard it all before. Data is the new oil. Data is needed to train machine learning models. Machine learning models and AI are the new electricity, right? And so what this enables is because you have something like the blockchain, which is this immutable ledger that grows over time and is a database really of all the transactions, you can create data lineage and provenance so you can know who has access to what and when. And so in the instance of like data and machine learning models, you can see who's contributed to train what model, right? And that's pretty interesting because once somebody leverages that model, you can create an economy, a royalty economy. And that means everyone that went to train that model gets paid in perpetuity. So if you train automation, like let's say you have awesome robot arms, right? I mean, not you personally, but there are telepresence robot arms, and you go to train it and teach it a new task, it's learned that task and it knows that you have trained it. And so every time it goes and infers or uses that task in understanding and tackling a new obstacle or a new directive, you would get paid, right, for training that automation. And it really is this new radical kind of idea that, robots and AI and all of these things are here, and they're going to be taking over a lot of the tasks and assisting us in a lot of ways. Why not be that stopgap, right? Help participate in building that economy and then essentially profiting and benefiting from it.
So Dan, right now when someone goes to a website and they're clicking on a CAPTCHA, aren't we training Google's systems to look at different objects on the road, things like that? We're doing it for free, aren't we?
Absolutely. Every time you go and you click on, is this a vehicle? Is this a stop sign? You're training those machine learning models that Google is using. And that's kind of the way it exists now, right? We have these companies who are siloed, who are participating in trying to own not just your data, but you training that data, right? So we have Facebook and Amazon and Google, And their entire business relies on having access to that data, monopolizing that data, and then getting you to kind of help train the model, right? Whether it's to sell you something new or to train, self-driving cars or predictive models, right? So that's the way we exist now. But by using this network, you can create a whole new marketplace that's never existed, where anyone is able to sell any type of data or resource, and anyone else is able to contract it out, which is really neat and gets us out of this, what has been previously known as like this, in Who Owns the Future, Jaron Lanier talks about the siren servers, right? This local maxima that we're in now. And it gets us out of that, and we're able to now start asking new questions and thinking about, okay, now that all this data is unlocked, what insights can we pull from it?
Well, so when you say artificial intelligence, I think of robots, walking robots is the first thing I think of, but it sounds to me that there's other intelligence, for instance, clicking these confirmation things that you could actually, the average person could participate in training artificial intelligence.
Absolutely. So a lot of how AI works is that you have some data and you train these models by kind of like correcting them, right? Saying this is good, this is bad, this classifying thing is good, and basically showing it the way. And I think that's really kind of a stopgap, as I said before, to training models that then can be leveraged in, anything from chatbots to humanoid robots to self-driving vehicles to last mile delivery drones. And it's an ongoing process. So not only, will you go to train a model once, but you'll participate in correcting and showing these robots the way constantly as they face new obstacles and try to understand new directives. So really, it's what is called human-in-the-loop training.
So human-in-the-loop training is basically something that you're going to need real-time continuously. So it's not just like something that's going to happen in like a batch format. It sounds like something that's going to happen in a continuous basis with people's phones being always on or their Internet of Things always being on. It seems like the Internet of Things has just opened up this huge sensor array of learning systems but they really are, like you said, siloed within Alexa, Amazon and Apple and Google, and their proprietary access of that data is separate from anything that we know about. Exactly.
And imagine a world where you can go from your Alexa to your Google Home to your Facebook seamlessly. And that's kind of what a network like this allows. Is it allows people to contract one another, transact, and gain insights from who you are. You take who you are with you, right? You own who you are. And I think that unlocks a whole new potential, right? And instead of kind of seeing and optimizing the world through Facebook's eyes or Google's eyes, right? You can build an entire infrastructure that's constantly optimizing on your data and facilitating, trying to present you with this kind of new foundation.
So what differs this from? I'm sure there are other people working with AI. What differs this from other AI things that people are working on? So
we started out we started out actually working on something called Playa. And I was at a hackathon that I threw. That was an IoT hackathon. And I invited all these companies out that had all these sensors. That basically, the idea behind it was emergence, right? Like if you can mash up these APIs and create some new emergent product, what would that look like, right? What is this new world going to look like? And I realized that, sitting here, the present is all about me and my devices. But the future is all about me and my devices, you and your devices, and how they work together, grow, and learn. And I think that's the kind of core foundation that we've been working through. And we've gone through iterations of like thinking about a wearable device that is a voice platform and what role cryptocurrency plays in data acquisition and future of work. And we finally settled in on what we're working on now. And we did that. We've been doing this since, a crazy long time where people were like, first of all, we don't understand what cryptocurrency is. Second of all, you're talking about a wearable AI, companion, and then just coming out and saying, okay, well, AI and blockchain, right? When we came out with that was insane. People were just like, you don't even know what you're talking about. These are two totally different things. And then over time, as you evangelize and convince people that you have the answer, right? They're like, oh, well, the pieces are here. They're putting them together. And what kind of future does that unlock, right? So I think what we're starting to see now are a lot of people waking up to that. And we're starting to see a lot of people in different verticals that have different ideas. And so for us, in the end, it's about unlocking data and resources, right? And that could be your genetic data. That's my favorite one. So imagine partnering with 23andMe or Veritas Genetics and having your whole genome sequenced and being able to really predict kind of not just what you are physically, but who you are and more emergent qualities. So there are other people working in different verticals, but I mean, we're going to be the layer that's running through all devices, bringing a new data and intelligence layer.
It seems like there's been this confluence of either gigabyte processing, gigabyte data, and gigabyte network capacity. And when we reached that turning point, then this machine learning thing took off to a new level. And it seems like you're providing this layer of this continuous or gigabyte level continuous stream of user data. Like I think about the bed, there's a bed that monitors how you sleep and how you breathe and things like that. And it seems like you can actually have like a continuous flow. As you're giving, then you'll actually be getting paid. And it seems like that connection is really that missing layer that you guys are providing.
It is. It's a missing layer to not just understanding us, but even maybe bigger questions like, what are we doing here and what's it all mean, right? I mean, those are big philosophical questions, but I think it starts with just understanding who we are, creating predictive models, and creating an understanding through the data. And I think it's the only way forward.
So I can get paid while I'm sleeping is what you're saying.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I knew you'd like that part, Gary.
What's really funny is in the future, right next to your battery meter, you'll have how much money per minute you're making by just being alive.
Cool. Very.
Yeah.
Well, that sounds pretty exciting. So that'll be an app on my phone, how much money I made for waking up that morning.
Absolutely. Or brushing your teeth a certain way, or, just anything.
So you're saying basically, if I'm understanding this correctly, most things that we use in our everyday life are going to have AI incorporated into them somehow. And just by using these devices, we're teaching them, and we're going to be compensated for teaching these, which we're just actually using tools that we would use anyway, but special versions of these tools. Is that right?
Correct. Yeah, AI will run everything, will run through everything, will participate in every interface and every service for us. We'll be born with AI companions. Our whole world will be shaped by AI.
When do we start seeing it? Okay, go ahead.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
I think Kevin Kelly says that AI is going to be like the new dial tone.
Is that you don't notice it, right? In the end, it helps technology to become a more embedded part of your life and not as intrusive, right? There's this idea of ambient intelligence where this layer of intelligence will run through everything. And you won't notice it, right? But the world will form and fashion itself around you. For instance, if you're leaving the house and you need to go to a meeting, your intelligent agent can observe your calendar, understands your intent, sees your morning ritual, knows where you're headed, right? Has already ordered an Uber or a Lyft for you. You didn't even have to think about it. Takes you to your destination. Your coffee is waiting before you even know you want a coffee, because there's been some data in your past that says you perform better when you have this particular dosage of caffeine 10 minutes before your meeting, right? And so,
yeah, that makes sense. Well, also, how many coffee pots right now are already on the Internet of Things coffee pots? So it would know if you had your coffee or not.
Yep.
It's already starting to form.
It is.
And when I get in the car, if it's the morning, Waze says, do you want to go here? It's something I've said one of these places that I go to regularly. And so Waze is starting to suggest things. So I'm seeing it is very subtle.
It is. And, I think we're going to start seeing that more and more. Not just, do you want to do this, but this is where you're going. I understand. And I think that's the gap that we're closing now.
want to make sure. Could you just plain out tell me what is your grand vision for Synapse.ai?
Ooh. So I think ultimately what you would want to do is build kind of a knowledge base of understanding of tasks and intent, and build a system that can also build its own tasks and intent. And really, I think ultimately we'd like to see a global logistics and supply chain, which would be the next step. So because you have access to all this data and you have all these machine learning models operating together, and all these agents operating together, and they have agency over their resources, you cannot just localize, you cannot just optimize locally, but you can optimize globally across multiple industries simultaneously. So you'll see efficiencies and new economies pop out of that, that we're calling the new AI economies, where we have whole economies that are just driven by artificial intelligence.
That's incredible. It sounds like one of the things that I recall reading somewhere is that they say an AI could have its own account with tokens in it, and it could be paid or you could pay it, or it could actually transact with other AIs with those tokens.
Yeah. So on our network, that's one of the grand visions, right? Is having AIs grow and learn together. So if they can contract one another and transact with one another, not just cryptocurrency, but knowledge and resources. And that's just a robot having a wallet is just the first step.
Yeah, it is the first step, isn't it? Yeah. So that basically there's this economy of you've got a skill I need, and then you obviously get paid for that skill, and back and forth in the sharing of data. It's really a fascinating world, and it's just really it requires your imagination to really grow just to understand it.
Oh, absolutely. But there's a lot of people that understand that it's coming, and they're working towards it, right? In one way or another. It's like you said, it's already kind of a part of our lives.
Could you tell us the details of the ICO token?
Sure. So right now we're in tier 2 of our ICO, ends March 12th, and we have a special airdrop for your guests, if that's okay.
Sure.
Cool. Very cool.
So if you go to tokencell.synapse.ai/airdrop/crypto cousins, they're able to receive free Syn tokens.
Excellent. A little bonus for them, right?
Yeah.
Nice. The cousins are going to be so excited.
Very excited. So now you're doing this. You said this is tier 2. You're doing this in 3 tiers.
Correct.
And what made y'all decide? I mean, I don't know. Is that normal, or is that something a little different than most people do?
I think at this point, nothing's really normal since it's also new. And it was interesting because we were looking at the ICO model, and we saw a lot of these companies who would raise a lot of money and just kind of disappear. And so for us, it was important to loop in the community, show them that there's product development, show them that there's that we're actually building what we're talking about. And that was the major catalyst for us doing it in tiers, is we wanted to grow the momentum and spread the vision, and not just be a fly-by-night operation.
Hey, and could you give me the airdrop again? I want to write that down.
Yeah, it's tokencell.synapse.ai/airdrop/crypto cousins.
Excellent. Yeah, I think everybody will be very happy about that. So, sorry, I got to, that kind of caught my focus there when you're giving away money. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I kind of have tunnel vision sometimes. Once you started saying you were giving away money, that's all I could think about there for a minute there. So,
yeah, especially the money that's going to be running the future, right? Get in while it's hot.
Yes, that's a definite you want to do. So, do I need to be concerned with the Predator or Terminator coming, or like Elon Musk is saying, the end of the world's coming?
Oh,
I know that's off the topic there, but I just think that's hilarious that we have the end of the world coming, according to Elon Musk.
That's a huge philosophical discussion that I'm willing to have many beers over and talk about. I think that technology can either be leveraged for good or bad, and it is up to us building it, participating in it, to make sure and shepherd it to do good, and not just for us individually, but all people equally. And that's kind of the responsibility.
Yeah. I mean, it's people's intentions that make the difference. If your intention is good, then the technology that you build will be used for good by the person. Everything, whether it's a knife or a gun or a missile or anything, can be used for good or evil. So, yeah, I like your answer there.
And I want want to make sure this token obviously is available. I hear so often that people, when we listen to them or talk to them, say their tokens only available to registered investors and people outside of the U.S. This token is available to people in the U.S.
Yeah, this token's available for everyone. Okay. Ultimately, I 100% believe that if we're building the future that's going to be running everything, and it's going to require everyone to participate, however we can do it, everyone needs to be a part of that, right? So the token itself is just a utility of the network. And it doesn't make sense to prohibit any particular person from having access to it. And so that's kind of why we decided to make sure that everyone did. It's kind of part of our ethos and philosophy.
Fantastic.
Go ahead, Tony. I'm sorry.
Well, it sounds like this future world is really, it's on the horizon, but it sounds like for some people, they have the vision and they're building it. Do you have, are you in talks with any companies, already working on some collaborations, anything you could talk about?
Yeah, what's really funny, I'll give a quick anecdote and talk about what you're asking. So I started the first project, Playa, back when everyone thought it was crazy, right? My first example I gave was in the future. And as soon as you start off with in the future, you've lost half the audience, right? So you'll step out of your autonomous vehicle and it'll need a recharge. So it'll contract out a recharging station around it. It'll query the network. It'll find a recharge. It'll charge itself, and then it'll contract itself out as an Uber or a Lyft and make money while you sleep. Now, this was 2014, right? And it was phenomenal how many people didn't get it when I was on stage pitching that. But when I stepped off stage, huge companies, senior vice presidents of companies came down and they're like, yes, this is the future. People working in the Department of Defense. I will name all the companies later. But it was really assuring knowing that the people who are thinking about this are actually at these giant companies. And we are actually in talk with a bunch of different companies and a bunch of big names that you will know. And they've actually created whole AI and blockchain teams just to talk with us about how to participate in the ecosystem. And I think that's the most reassuring thing that I've seen lately, especially when talking about this. And it's going to require a lot of buy-in and a lot of infrastructure to really make it the future. And so not just big software companies, but hardware companies and infrastructure companies have been talking to us. And so you'll see a lot more of those announcements coming out from what we're building if you just follow our Twitter, AI Synapse.
Well, fantastic. We certainly will do that. I know locally we have many hackathons that are sponsored by big companies. Right here in Plano, Texas, AT&T Foundry has been doing a lot of work with makers and creative folks to develop this infrastructure because here at AT&T's, they are a backbone company. I mean, I think that any company that is providing infrastructure at this time wants to get involved in all the new layers. No one wants to be known as a pipes company with just a commodity. So you can see how they would be very interested. And of course, I don't know who you're talking to. They're a local, a very local, prominent company that we work with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree.
So if people just want to find out more about Synapse AI, they just go to synapse.ai. Is that right?
Yeah, synapse.ai. And we, right there, we have our Telegram channel, we have Reddit, we have Twitter, and we do airdrops across all those channels at least 3 times a day. So they can hang out and be a part of the community. We have an awesome community of people that are thinking about this and supporting us. So they're welcome to join and talk about AI in the future.
Fantastic.
Well, this is pretty exciting stuff.
Yeah, this is really exciting.
Yeah.
So I want to make sure, is there anything else that, I know that we don't have all the questions here. We tried to come up with as many, but is there anything that we missed that you're going, hey, we really need to let everybody know this, that you might want to make sure and cover?
No, I think we hit on everything. And I think, maybe the future of work and how that might look, but I feel pretty confident that we covered all the topics here.
Well, I'm going to say one more time. Everybody make sure you go to tokensale.synapse.ai/airdrop/crypto-cousins. Did I get that right?
Yep.
Cool.
I remember that part, Dan.
If there's only one thing you remember, grab the AI money.
Yeah, I remember that part. That's, I don't know why that sticks in my mind so well. Hey, this was really an interesting conversation, though. I mean, I really enjoyed hearing about this, and I can't wait to start seeing this. I know that we don't cover everything. We can't think of every question there possibly be, but is there anything that you can think of that we want to make sure and tell our listeners?
I think stay open to kind of understanding and thinking about the future, because it is coming and it is a part of our lives. And like I said, it's up to us to figure out where it fits and how we participate in it. So just visit us at Synapse.ai, and we have a great community where you can join up and talk about AI and the future of work. And that's about it.
And so I know you're in tier 2 now. When does tier 3 end, and when is the ICO token sale over?
So tier 2 ends March 12th. Tier 3 begins about a month later, and we'll probably see the end of it beginning of June.
Good enough. With Dan, we really appreciate you coming on the Crypto Cousins. This has been very informative. I mean, it really has been. I am intrigued with AI. I don't know near as much about it as Tony does, but Tony, I think this is very interesting.
I'm fascinated by it. I'm really excited to see it all come together. And it's not something that's just to the big 4 companies to work with, but actually everybody can participate and everybody can benefit.
Absolutely.
So thanks, Dan. It's been fun.
Thanks for having me. Yep. Cheers.
Thanks, Dan. Okay, I hope you enjoyed today's interview. I really found that really interesting. I wish I was smarter like you, Tony, and knew more of the technical questions to ask.
Well, I've been really interested in this field, and I've been reading up on it. So I was really, when you said Dan was involved with AI, I was like, oh, this is really cool. So we both had our own angle to ask him different questions. I think that's what makes our partnership so good. It's like we have different viewpoints, and we come at things from different angles, and it makes a great combo.
Yeah, I think if you're real technical, you probably like Tony's questions. If you're just an average Joe, you probably like my questions. I don't know. My question about worrying about the Terminator was too technical, Tony. Hey, but I do want to make sure you know. Now I will say it to make sure you know. Go to tokensale.synapse.ai/airdrop/crypto cousins in case you didn't have your pin ready earlier, and get that airdrop because it's free money, Tony. And you know me. I still pick up pennies when I'm walking down the street, so I'm all about the free
when
money.
Dan mentioned it, I could hear you scrambling for a pen or something was going on over there.
I had someone the other day, I was walking and I picked up a penny, and the guy said, why do you pick those up? And I said, I'll tell you what, if I saw 500 pennies here, I'd stay 5 minutes and pick them all up. I don't know. Maybe it has something to do with being in my 60s. I still remember where you could buy stuff with a penny, so maybe it's hard to get that out of there. But I'm excited that everybody is getting an airdrop that was very nice of Dan, very unexpected, and that's great for the cousin. So that'll be pretty cool if like a year from now or two we go, hey, remember those airdrops Synapse.ai you got from us earlier last year? That'd be kind of cool.
Well, and folks can really look into what Dan's doing and, decide for themselves if they want to discover more about what Synapse.ai has going on. They have we're like in tier 2 now, I think it is, of their token sales. So there'll be another couple tiers coming up over the next few weeks. If you're just listening to this, right now we're in February of 2018. So it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, go to synapse.ai and check it out. And I want to thank everybody for listening. Don't forget to go to cryptocousins.com/subscribe and subscribe to get future episodes. And if you're on iTunes, if you're on your phone right now and you're on iTunes, scroll down there and give us a review. Give us a 5-star review. I need some more reviews. iTunes looks at what people think about us, and that's how they rate us. So that's always helpful. Tony, anything else you want to mention before we get out of here?
Just that we really appreciate all the support we've been getting. We had an anonymous donor with giving us some Litecoin.
That was nice. That was nice.
It was really nice. I mean, that's a really great feeling. And our Patreon supporters have been just really wonderful. I got to meet one this weekend, and we're doing the very best we can to ask the right questions and to learn in this field. And if you don't like what we're doing, send us a voicemail too. We want to hear both the good and the bad, and we're doing our best to keep getting better.
And to us, people ask me all weekend, why Crypto Cousins? How many times did we hear that at this event we were at?
Yes. It was fun.
And it's because we're all family in crypto. And I'm serious, we're all cousins in crypto. Because we're a little different right now, so we're a niche. We're a tight community is how I'm looking at it. So I want to say thanks for listening to all you guys and all you cousins out there. I love you guys. Thanks for listening.
Thanks, everyone. See you soon.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to the Crypto Cousins podcast. Please share this podcast with anyone you know that is interested in cryptocurrency. Your friends can subscribe on iTunes at cryptocousins.com/iTunes and on Android at cryptocousins.com/play. If you want to know more about Tony or Gary, just go to tonysakala.com or garyleland.com. Make sure and join us on the next episode, and thanks for listening. The Crypto Cousins podcast and information in the podcast are not intended as investment advice. Cryptocurrencies are risky. Never invest more than you can afford to lose. Always seek professional advice before making any investment. Investing in Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies may present tremendous risks. Please understand that you are using any and all information available on or through the Crypto Cousins podcast at your own risk.